one at Fair Oaks is flatter and wider.
It works because we have an open culvert, we have an open channel, so it, you know, when.
And we talked, we posed this question at the very beginning, because we were talking about that same possibility of covering this thing at the very beginning of our scope. And when we talked to the hydraulics engineer, he basically said, part of the problem with putting a cover on it is there's going to be a need for the water to have to come out over that. So, and we talked about some of the solutions to do that. So there is possibility, but the water still needs, from a hydraulic standpoint, at this current situation with the
well, how was that handled at the other locations?
That was my question. Yeah.
Through the bridges, you mean?
No, from Fair Oaks to Holland.
Well, I think what we know is in the open channel section now that is the subject of this, for example, at the last large storm on December 23rd, this channel overflowed in 3 locations. Right. So what would happen, the water, as it does now, would flow, well, it flows up and then flows overland to get back into the channel or overland and back into another channel further down.
Or you put like over by Encinal Road, there's an opening that goes down into the culvert and it just has a raised like roof on it. There water does come out if it needs to, but that doesn't seem to be a major.
You have a pathway for it to go down to the.
There are ways to do it. We just
that wasn't part of your study.
We didn't get the scope changed a little bit, and we didn't go ahead with those discussions.
So can I get council consensus here about if we want to give staff additional direction to go back, and I guess it would cost us some additional money to have you do this additional research and study what it would look like if we covered it. Do we want to do that at this time, or do we want to just continue it?
I'd like to hear the city manager maybe make a comment.
I'd like for the council to seriously consider that, because the boxed option is something that you want the option to do in the future. So at some point, we're going to have to come back with a scenario for that. And as Gordon mentioned, it may create some changes in the cost of one of these options if we were to design it that way.
Okay.
It would undoubtedly change the environmental review picture.
Right.
Because now, you know, theoretically, right now, and by the way, the answer to the bandied about question about, hey, why aren't these other people paying for our channel? Because that's their water course that was there before there ever was a channel. That's where the water has historically always gone. And because of that, they always have a right to continue to let their water go. Now, you do have some rights, like just tell them they can't put any additional water, which means they can't pave anything.
And that's what's happening.
And that sort of thing, but that's another discussion. But the environmental issue is right now we know where it's flooding, and it's kind of a historic place, at least for a number of years. But if you change that environmentally, then the engineers will tell you, if you do this, this is now a new place where it's going to flood. And you need to look at that, not just from an environmental standpoint, but also from what it means to you in terms of now inverse condemnation, taking somebody's property to overflood it every year. That's a real possibility if you try to put too much water into a big pipe one into a little pipe.
But that's what's happening.
That's what's happening today.
Yeah, if you look at where the water originates. Where the water originates, they have that horse farm up there, and they've been covering the ground every year, building more and more indoor stadium for equestrian things. Plus, the school covered up all of their ground with new buildings and asphalt.
Okay, so that's a whole nother discussion that we can talk about. But at this point, I'd like to get a consensus from council to direct staff to work with the consultants to bring us back a proposal for the cost of doing another study for covering the channel and reinforcing the decaying wall, doing what that has to be done, as well as including the cost of a potential environmental report. Any other?
I just want them to consider putting in a big steel pipe there. And I mean, we put steel pipes all over the place to carry all kinds of water. And as far as the overflow goes, you can make it so that it overflows in the same way, only overflows 2 or 3 times a year. And
Are you talking about an exposed steel pipe or a
covered steel pipe. And you know, you put a steel pipe down there, you support it properly, people do this all the time.
Okay.
And it covers it, you can make it so that if the water overflows, it overflows at the same place as it's overflowing today.
Thank you. So, do we need a motion for this, or I would just like to just go ahead?
We need some general consensus from the council, nodding of heads, that's a good direction to go in.
Councilmember Carlson, he's nodding, yes. Councilmember Weist, yes.
Is this a vote, a nodding vote?
This is
Why
a
don't you
nodding
take a
vote.
To direct staff.
We're just
The nods
directing
have it.
staff, yes, and the nods have it. And so Gordon,
I'll work with
city
the
manager
consultants
and the consultants.
and come back to you
I
with
think you
that.
have to bring us back a proposal for the cost first. Okay,
Will do.
thank you very much. Thank you for all of your hard work, for your expertise, for your professionalism, for your presentation, and thank you. Okay, that ends our agenda items. I think
Motion to adjourn.
there you go. Okay, I think Councilmember Whitmer made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And Councilmember Bobby second. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
Anybody want to know who the new